three things you really just got to understand is who you are. That's your mission, your vision, your values. Who you serve. That's your ideal client. And what makes you different. When you understand those three things, those are the things that can make a massive impact in a small business in a very short period of time. And when I discovered that, I 4X my revenue in a matter of a few months. Not doing much different. When you've got a strong brand and you've solved those three things, your marketing dollars and time input will go further, faster.
I've been feeling a little confused lately about what branding actually is. It seems to mean so many different things. And it turns out I'm not alone. A number of you in our side hustle community have been wondering the same thing. So today, to help us all out, I've connected with brand strategist Rob Genovesi, whom you just heard. Rob talks about three things that made the difference in 4Xing his revenue. And we touch on all three, but we're really going to dig into what makes you different and how to express that more effectively. He's also offering our listeners a free digital copy of his entire book, the link for which you'll find on the episode page at sidehustlehero.com/186. We'll also drop a link in the show notes. Since recording this interview, I've already implemented 2 of the actionable ideas we discussed. They apply to virtually any side hustle, and I'll share those in the end of the show wrap-up. I'd love to hear which ones you try. I'm Joan Posavy, and this is Side Hustle Hero. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you. Good to be here, Joan.
Well, describe for us what you mean by branding.
Branding, essentially, is differentiation. It's how you stand out from everybody else, how you differentiate your different approach. And it's not in your logo. It's not in the green tie you wear or the top hat or whatever gimmick people want to use. It's in your process and it's in your style that truly makes you different. Process makes you different in business, in your operations. And the style is the kind of the personal side that attracts people to you and say, I kind of like where they're coming from. So that's my version of a definition of branding because there's many out there. When I first started my side hustle, I was still in corporate. I started out building websites because I have a degree in graphic design. That's what I was educated to do.
Okay.
And so I figured I got to start a business, but I was so fed up. I had to get out of corporate, but I had a job and I'm like, I'm starting a business today. So what can I do? Some people go, well, I don't know what to do. I was like, I know design. Everybody needs websites. I'm going to design websites. Boom. And I started doing it right away. I got clients. It was fine. Getting clients was not difficult. And I was struggling for profitability. When I discovered branding, I went, wait a minute. This was the thing that made the impact in my business that allowed me more profitability.
Just out of curiosity, because you were building websites, so a lot of your inputs were your time. What was the challenge with the profitability?
You can't swing your arms, at least in the New York tri-state area, without hitting 50 web designers, developers, whatever, everybody's ex-girlfriend's, boyfriend's, cousin websites. It wasn't hard to find somebody to do it because it's such a commodity. And then if you want to make money, you had to be a website factory. I know guys that do it. They're very successful. They're very profitable, but their volume, right? And their money is in the maintenance contracts of those. And I didn't, honestly, Joan, I didn't want that.
Okay.
I wanted to make a direct impact and enjoy it and fulfilling. And it wasn't fulfilling. I was doing it because I needed to do something.
Yeah.
So the profitability was, like you said, it was the time inputs. I started out basically giving websites away for free because you got to get some stuff under your belt. You got to get some
build your portfolio.
Yeah, you build your portfolio. I charged $200, then I charged $400, then I charged $700, then I charged, and I kept upping it every time. And I hit a ceiling. And what I realized was when I wanted to get a higher fee for a website, I had to build a bigger website, which means what? More time.
Yeah.
So by the time I was charging over $2,000 for a website, I went from making $30 an hour to making $15 an hour because my time. So I was like, I can't figure this out. What is this? So that's why I got out of that business and really discovered what made an impact in business was not a website. It's just a tool, right? But brand strategy, helping somebody actually get better clients who were more profitable and they could tap into them for longer periods of time through referrals. To me, that was the power, and that was what I was after. And that's when I started seeing more.
And that's your brand.
Yeah. So my brand is largely reflected on the pain and the journey that I went through as being a very paralyzed young adult. I was in my 30s and I was afraid to talk to people, Joan. It was paralyzing. And I'm not overstating it, because the one thing that holds most, whether it's a side hustle or it's your full-time business, it's fear.
Yeah.
It's the fear of putting your unique message out there. Why? Because people are going to throw rocks. The hater's going to hate, and nobody wants that. But that's the problem. That's where they're losing. And so when you're building a brand, the whole idea is differentiation. But what do people do? They become the same. They copy what their competitors are doing. They copy what other people are doing, right? Fit right in. Oh, it's warm and comfy in here. Nobody's making fun of me. That's the danger zone. And we're attracted to different. As people, we're attracted to exclusivity and something that's different. Goes, hey, you're not like the rest. How many times have we heard that in our lives? And it's a compliment. Oh, you're not like everybody else. Yes. Meaning you're not like everybody else saying the same old thing that doesn't even matter, doesn't even make a difference. And so differentiation becomes the deciding factor, all things being equal, right? And you can't even weigh all the equal things. But when somebody sees something different, they're like, oh, I want to see more about this. This looks interesting. And they dive in. That's the power of branding.
That became apparent in our correspondence back and forth. I could tell that your pitch to be on the show and the emails back and forth that we had, this guy's different. He sounds like a real person. This isn't a canned pitch that we get tons of every day.
Well, I mean, like that, and that's the part of marketing. That's marketing. So marketing is the amplification of your brand. And that is a big factor now, Joan, especially with the rise of AI and accessibility.
My God. Yeah.
People are scared, but the people that are excited and know how to use it, they're going to win like they've never won before because of the one thing you said there. So when I pitched you, I actually wrote that note. I didn't have a template that I send to everybody. I didn't ask AI to, hey, this is Joan. She has a podcast, Side Hustle Hero. Write me a pitch so that I can get on. I didn't do that.
Which is 99% of the stuff I receive.
Right. Yeah. And so what did I do? Who is this Joan person? So I read your backstory. I went on your website. I read everything I could about you because I wanted to get to know you to see, is this a fit? Should we even be talking? Because if not, it's okay. So when I wrote to you, it was along the lines of, I know who you are. This is who I am. I think we should have a great conversation. And you agreed.
Absolutely. Well, where or how or if do you use AI in your writing? Anything, copy, emails, marketing?
That's a really good question. And this is so hotly debated. I mean, well, I shouldn't say debated as much as because we're in the midst of it. And I use AI every single day, but not how people think. I do not use AI to create my messages, my words, all that stuff.
Okay.
And you do not use AI to write for you. What you should use AI for, and look, this is my perspective as a creative person. I create content on LinkedIn every single day. I'm a branding guy, I'm a design guy, I'm a visual guy, I'm a words guy. I use AI as my personal assistant to bounce ideas off of. And I'll turn to Gemini every single morning. I'll be like, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I want to do. Give me some ideas on how to best approach this, whatever it is.
Yes.
And it gives me, it's a starting block. It gets the conversation going. So if people treated it like it was a conversation between a very smart person and yourself, it has access to information I don't have access to. It doesn't mean I'm stupid or it's just a robot. It's just feeding me information. So I'll be like, that's a really good point. And then I'll sit down and be like, I'm going to write about this. And I type away my own words and in my own brain.
Yeah. And that's
like an assistant.
That's clear. So for our audience today, then, based on your knowledge of that, what's say 3 things that they should start doing tomorrow in terms of their branding?
The one thing I would say, and here I am, the graphic designer, do not get a logo first thing out of the gate. I'm seriously going to say, do not get a logo. As a design person, what I will tell you is the words are way more important. You've got to really define who you are. So I've broken it down. It's in my book and it's in all my content. I've broken it down very simply for business owners. There's 3 things you really just got to understand is who you are. That's your mission, your vision, your values. who you serve, that's your ideal client, and what makes you different. When you understand those three things, those are the things that can make a massive impact in a small business in a very short period of time. And when I discovered that, I 4x my revenue in a matter of a few months.
Oh,
Not doing much different. I was still the same person,
yeah.
right? When you've got a strong brand and you've solved those three things, those three core concepts I just mentioned, your marketing dollars and time input will go further, faster. And I think that's the key, because the number one thing that causes small business to fail is lack of cash flow, it's capital. And so you've really got to maximize every dollar. And if you're a good business owner, you're watching and auditing every dollar that goes out while making sure you maximize what comes in. So if you spend $10 on something, that's a marketing effort, right? And it doesn't get any results, that's bad.
Yes.
But what if you only had to spend $2 and it got you $20 of ROI? That's massive.
Yeah.
And that's what having a brand will do. Make your marketing dollars and time go further faster.
Well, you mentioned that once you really nailed this, that your revenue really ramped up. I think you said 4x.
Yeah.
What was it that was the biggest change that you made? It sounds like it was a small change, but big results.
The biggest thing was that I got to the bottom of what the business challenge was. See, a lot of people, they sell their solution without even finding out what the business needs.
I see.
So
your customer, you mean? Your customer, your clients.
Your customer. Yeah. So if you don't get to know them and be able to solve it specifically, people go, well, we don't have the budget for that. That's not true. 9 out of 10 times they have the budget for the thing that will solve the problem now, not for, we're not so certain that your solution is the answer for us. Those are two different scenarios.
Yes.
Right? They could be right and they could be wrong. So if I have a solution that I know absolutely solves your problem and I convey that, people pay for it. So when I say 4x my revenue, I did not take advantage of people. I increased the value in my process without increasing my time input. I was a maniac about profitability, John. And so those two things, increasing value, but not increasing time input.
Yes.
That's what helped me 4x it. So it wasn't just a matter of I charged more.
Right.
I was actually, my effective hourly rate went up because what used to take me 2 hours now only took me a half hour.
An example of that might be if you are launching your book, you might also provide a purchaser 2 or 3 other bonuses that might be downloadable products that you've already created. You're adding value to them, but it's really taken you no more amount of time. Something like that?
Yeah. So the more value you can put in, and value, it can be perceived, but it should also be actual for the client.
Oh, yeah.
Right. The more that thing becomes, wow, this is really great. It's making an impact. So I would search for ways to do that. And it's like you said, depending on what you're selling, you got to figure out where you can add more value. For me, I'm a service-based business. So I ordered more value in what they got out of our engagement together, what they were actually able to use. Some tools, yes, PDFs, things, tools to assist them, but also knowledge.
Okay.
I also stripped away the things that didn't make any difference. And I think that's a big thing. I would document how the client engagement went. At the end of the engagement, I would review it and go, what did not make a difference at all? And I would strip it out and then put in something that added value. So
did you determine that through a survey with the client of what didn't make any difference?
it's through talks with them. How are things going? It's also in their immediate feedback. So sometimes the value that they get out of it may not end up on the bottom line directly. When you're engaging with them and they're like, oh my gosh, that was something we've been stuck on for a long time. Oh my gosh, we never thought about it that way. It's this mental thing. So part of what makes me different as a brand strategist to small business owners is the branding mindset that I provide. So this came out of, again, everything valuable comes out of necessity. So I would do, early on, I would do the brand strategy, whole engagement for a client.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, they get a brand guide and they get all this great stuff. And a couple of times clients went, this is great. And they're holding it in their hands. They're like, now what do I do with this? And I went, oops, they don't know what to do. They don't understand what branding is. They don't have that mindset, because what you got to understand in building a brand is it's not this thing that you build that just sits there on your desk. It's not the card. It's not the logo that you embroider on your hoodie. It's the mindset that you walk away with, so that every single day when you have to make a business decision, you run it through the lens of branding. So it's a very clear, decisive, and effective decision that builds and compounds, because you're always building the business through the lens of the brand. And so I started teaching them how to think about the little opportunities in their daily business life that they can exploit or amplify to build a stronger brand. Because as you build a strong brand, you leverage the brand to build the business. So over time, the brand and the business build each other up and get stronger and stronger and stronger until you got something that's you can charge more for, you become well known for, and you become highly referred.
Give us an example of one of those things that you saw, that something came up for a client that they could change on a daily basis that made a difference.
I'll give you a great example. And I call this the dumb little things. And I say that with a little tongue in cheek, because a lot of times the little opportunities to amplify your brand come in these dumb little things that people dismiss immediately because they go, oh, that's not that important. So here's something I actually did and got a response from. So your voicemail. What do most people put on their voicemail? Well, some people don't ever change their voicemail. So whatever the default is from that robot, please leave your number at the... That's devastating thing, number one. Number two is you do record it, but you go, hey, thanks for calling ABC Company. Please leave your name and number, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. It's like the second worst thing you could do.
Okay.
Why? You're missing an opportunity to amplify your brand. So I had done something, and look, I don't listen to my voicemails anymore, so I'm going to give you the best of what I remember. So it was more like, hey, thank you for calling Build Strong Brands. We're out helping another business crush it, but we want to help you too. So do us a favor, make sure you leave a detailed message, because when we're done with them, we want to help you crush it too. Something like that.
Right, yeah.
And I had people get me on the phone and be like, I heard your voicemail. That was awesome. I've never heard a voicemail like that. Now people go, oh, that's just dumb. It's just a voicemail. No, that is an impression on somebody's brain that's burned in there. Well, they will not forget. And Joan, I kid you not, I've had more than a few people tell me, sometimes I call your phone because I just want to hear a voicemail. Or, Rob, when we get off this, I'm going to call you back. Don't pick up the phone. I want to hear that voicemail. I want somebody else to hear it. This has happened. And so, your email signature, your voicemail, the way you dressed, yeah. And I joked earlier about it being a gimmick sometimes. If you're consistent in what you wear to represent the brand, it's another amplification. It's another repetition. It's another exposure that embeds your brand in their brain so that they do recall you when they're laying in bed at night.
A lot of people aren't making calls these days. So any tips similar to that for email?
Yeah.
Or text, DMs?
Yeah, make sure your email, look, sometimes people strip away the images and the links in the email, right? Because sometimes it goes to spam, which I understand. But there's no reason why you can't make a message, type out a message, which is like some kind of insight, right? We're in the era of hacks. Hey, give me the next new hack. Give me something I can use. And so I put at the bottom of my emails something that people can use, some kind of insight, so that when they get my email, they're like, oh man, that's good stuff, right? That's the least you can do. But also, people go, oh, on my computer, I have it. But do you have an email signature on your phone? Does it say the same thing? Because look, I think we're all pretty unanimous on people are on their phones more than they're on their computers and checking email on them. So if you don't have the proper branded signature in your email on your phone, you're missing, again, dumb little things. But every exposure to your brand, you make it a positive one, and it's one more tip in your favor.
Maybe this should be the title of this episode, Dumb Little Things.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, look, I help people see the opportunities, and that's what I mean about making business decisions through the lens of branding. I help you see the opportunities where you can amplify your brand, because the problem now is not like it was years ago. I pay a certain amount of money to get a TV ad, a radio ad, a billboard, direct mail, whatever. The price of entry is basically free now. Social media. You
Yeah.
can put anything you want out there, but the price you pay is in being invisible. So if you want to not be invisible, you've got to learn how to do these things that reinforce one another so that you stand out. People go, I've seen this guy before. I don't know where.
Right.
Exactly, because I'm everywhere.
Yes. Well, you mentioned you're everywhere on LinkedIn every day.
Mhm.
What's your best hack or tip there for building a brand using LinkedIn? To avoid. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not a massive on LinkedIn. I am building my followers. I recently started just last year and really focusing my marketing efforts there. But I'm there every day for at least 2 to 3 hours, definitely Monday through Friday. Even the weekends I'm on there. And when I say I'm on there, I'm not just posting content, which I do. I'm commenting on other people's posts. We're talking back and forth, writing,
Okay.
DMs with people. I'm learning stuff. And so it's become a kind of a networking world on LinkedIn where you can meet people who you vibe with. And I got people on there, I've never seen them in person. And most of them I've never even talked to on the phone or on Zoom. But we already like each other, right? We're already like, hey, man.
Yes.
So something's going to come out of that because I'm going to be remembered. And so I would say show up consistently. Look, if we just talk side hustle, you got to be consistent. No matter what you do, brand or no brand, if you are not consistent, you will not win.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. And putting in the
Consistency
time.
wins out.
And all
Sorry.
those, the DMs and the interactions on LinkedIn, they get to hear your voice, your authenticity.
That is the thing that I think goes further than anything else is people go, I don't have time for that. Well, if networking is part of your marketing strategy, or if social media is part of your marketing strategy, which I think for most people it is, well, then it's worth the time to show up there and say, here I am, good to see you, comment on that, support that. I learn while I'm on there. So I'm also learning about the little AI tricks. So it's actually serving many purposes. But if you're on there consistently with your own voice, again, my typos, my slang, all that stuff gets put in there. I type how I speak because like you said, Joan, when they get to know you, they're like, that guy over there, he seems good too, but I like this guy.
Right. Yeah. He's more like me. I can relate to him. So I guess that's part of the answer to the question then for somebody wanting to build community and brand at the same time. What does it take to get people to follow them? That's pretty much what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna add this into, and this has been a game changer for me. This year, I've seen a sharp increase in the number of followers on LinkedIn, engagement with my posts, more and more. And I'm talking double-digit percentage growth on that stuff.
Okay.
Is this, have your own original thoughts. And people go, oh, of course. No. What I'm saying is, if you go on LinkedIn or if you're networking in person and you hear people talk, if you do it enough, you start to hear some of the same stuff over and over again.
Yes.
The same phrases, the same takes on things. What's your take on this? If it sounds like everybody else's, you're going to lose, right? Because again, differentiation wins. So when I say have an original thought, when somebody posts something about, brand or small business or whatever it is, and you simply parrot back the thought that they put out there, you're not adding any value. You don't look different. I just read the post. I don't need you to just regurgitate what that person just wrote.
Yes.
So it's of no value to me. You're of no value, not as a person, not as a human, but as a business person. So what I do, and has made a marked difference, when I comment especially, I give my own unique take on what they said, and a lot of times a very short personal experience on why it's true. And I get more impressions from my comments than I do of my posts.
Interesting.
And so we're not really here to talk about LinkedIn so much, but what we are talking about is being so real, amplifying that through your brand so that you will not be ignored. You will not be invisible, and people will follow you figuratively and literally. They'll follow, hey, whatever that guy's doing, I'm buying.
And taking that half an hour a day, whatever a person deems would be helpful for them on a platform like LinkedIn. And again, that's going to depend on where your audience is.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you saying, it's a lot more powerful and worth your time if you really take care in those comments so that 2 or 3 really thoughtful comments will garner you a lot more success than 50 likes, liking people's comments.
Yeah. And the reason for that is, and here's what people need to keep in mind when they're not just comments, but any of their marketing, whether they're writing emails, they write a blog, whatever you're writing, your writing has to reflect and almost promote the way your philosophy on what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where they can take almost like a shortcut in terms of raising trust and lowering risk, right? Because people weigh those things when they're thinking of hiring you. Do I trust this person? Are they credible? Or are they a hack? What's the risk here? Is what they're charging worth their solution? I'm not sure. And so people don't do anything. But how you raise trust and lower risk is you put those to bed early by putting your philosophy out there. Again, this is your take, but if you reference it in terms of what you do, well, then you could say, well, here's how this really works. And when I do, this is what happens. And when I help this customer, this was what we did, and this is what their result was. And so people, when they know how you think, then they know you, trust goes up and risk goes down. They're like, no, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. So we say that casually, he knows what he's talking about. But in the world of business, that means everything.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Rob?
Sure. So 2 places, and only 2 places, because I believe in focus. So that would be LinkedIn, of course, Rob Genovesi. You can't miss me. I'm all over it. And my website, buildstrongbrands.com.
And we'll definitely drop both those links in the show notes.
And I do, before we forget too, so but for your listeners, appreciation for your audience and the time here, I'm offering a free digital download of my book, Don't Fear the Brand. And they can go to a website, buildstrongbrands.com/free book. All one word, free book. Buildstrongbrands.com/free book. Just drop your email. I'm going to send you the free full book digital download.
We're not talking free. First chapter here. We're talking
not talking book. First chapter. The whole book. It's been very well received. I'm very proud of it, and the feedback I've gotten has been overwhelmingly positive, and I believe it'll help a lot of people.
Wow! Thank you so much for that offer, or for that gift.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, lastly, what's your best tip to inspire others to start and grow their side hustle dream, as you have?
They may not like this answer.
Okay.
The one that's most effective, first of all, I could just say, well, just go for it and just do it. You can't steer a parked car, so you got to get in motion. That's the sound good, the feel good answer. The real answer is this. Tap into the frustration or the anger you might have at maybe the system. For me, it was corporate because I was a high performer and I got laid off after exceeding the expectations of the company, and I got laid off because of economics driven by politics. Mm-hmm. And so I got so pissed, Joan.
Yeah.
I started my business that day. I went home. I told my wife, starting a business today. And I went and got another job because we needed the income. But I built my business. I was so angry at a system that betrayed me and frustrated that I wasn't being paid what I was worth. That drove me. And I'm telling you, without that, I probably would still be, maybe I'll start that business. So
yeah.
It may be a little bit hard to do, but if you really do some serious reflection, if you're thinking of a side hustle because you think, hey, it might be worth a few extra bucks, probably not talking to you on this message. But if you're looking to take that side hustle, really make it profitable, and maybe someday turn it into a full-time business, man, anger is a good driver of energy. I was in hot pursuit, Joan, hot pursuit.
Yes. And I am finding that more and more professionals, the reason they are starting side hustles is so they have that safety net. So if they are laid off or they're currently dissatisfied at their current corporate job, that this is something that they can build up on the side until one point, maybe in the future, they dive in full time.
Yeah. And I would say, yeah. And add into that, just leverage the skills that you have now, leverage your knowledge base, whatever you have, and just find something that you can sell and go do it, because I never would have arrived at being a brand strategist had I not started designing websites first.
That was a start.
And by the way, I started that business knowing this is not what I want, but I got to get moving.
Yeah. And like that it was a title of another book, but that line, feel the fear and do it anyway. Get her done.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for this mini masterclass on branding. And of course, for being today's Side Hustle hero.
Thank you, Joan. Appreciate it.
There were a couple of things in particular that I jumped on after this conversation. First, I did a quick check with some of my side hustle friends to see how many of them had a phone version of their email signature. Some did, but many didn't. That was one of the things that I acted on. Rob called this one of the dumb little things. But why not? Especially since it could help. And it doesn't cost anything. The second thing has been how I spend time on LinkedIn. And really, this could apply to any platform, but LinkedIn is what I use the most. I've become more intentional about how I'm spending time there, not just clicking likes, but crafting more thoughtful comments and messages. Let me know your key takeaways from the episode, because as always, I love hearing from you. Sometimes it really is those dumb little things that make a real impact. Not when you do them once or twice, but when you do them consistently over time. They can really make a difference between blending in and standing out. Well, that's a wrap for today. If our chats are sparking your entrepreneurial spirit and providing valuable insights, consider showing your support by visiting sidehustlehero.com/support. That's where you can shoot me a virtual coffee. It's a real thing and a fun way to give the show a caffeinated thumbs up. Thank you so much. In the episode description, you'll find a link to Rob's LinkedIn profile, his website, as well as our full show notes, which live at our website, sidehustlehero.com. There you'll also find a link to grab a digital copy of Rob's book, Don't Fear the Brand. If you're enjoying what you're seeing in this podcast, it would be so appreciated if you would take a moment and add your comment, share the episode, and please subscribe. It'll let others know that there's valuable content here to help them start and grow their side hustle. Thanks for watching, and hustle on.